Yes, my people. It's Blocks to Bags. I'm your boy Beach.
I'm your boy Seb.
As always, this is that show where you can come and get all your needs for entrepreneurship, NFT, finance, and of course, get into the bag.
Come on. And we've got a special guest on today.
This is Mr. Andy Davis. He is a well known advocate for black founders here in the UK and globally. He is also a founder, originally created some awesome businesses which we'll tap into.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the last couple of years, he has been putting the first check in a lot of your favorite businesses. A lot of times when you read a black young person or any black individual has raised X million or X pre-seed, at some point they probably would have met Mr. Andy
That's the
Davis.
guy. That's the guy right there that they would have been chatting to.
So what kind of stuff do you want to get through in today's episode?
There's so much. There's so much to get through. Number one, I would love to get a bit of your journey because I know so many people have met you. So many people talk about you. You're a maverick. You're an OG in the game. Like, what's your story? Where did you begin, and how did you end up becoming the sort of investor that you are today? Because I know you had a marketing background. I remember when I met you years ago at Backstage Capital when I met other Andy and I seen you buzzing around. I was like, cool. So I'd like to know about your background before investing as a founder and how you transitioned to the world of investing.
Sure. So yeah, thanks for having me, man. Blocks of bags, man. We here, man, for real. So I'm a Sierra Leonean boy, half Sierra Leonean, half Greek Cypriot, raised by my mum, my Sierra Leonean mum. So very much a Sierra Leonean boy. Raised in Barking. It's interesting when we were raised, growing up, like, we're like the first black family out there, right? Or one of the first black families, and now the whole area is black. So we're going through that real first generation experience in this country as well in the UK. And I think I had the same experience a bit in tech when I was got into tech. When I first started in whichever year it was, 2009, 2010, it was between 2008 and 2010. It was just the same, like 12, 16 of us going to pubs and stuff, just networking and talking every week. And then the ecosystem eventually grew up. We started these companies, which I can touch on and stuff. And we are where we are here today, like in the UK and Europe. So a bit of my background, I don't really share too much because I think like there's always faster paths to get to where I am today. I'm like, actually, don't take my path of all that struggle, all that pain. We can just tell you how to get to X position to be an investor, right? But no university degree, never had a job. Always gone to solve problems. So gone doing some crazy stuff. Like when I was 18, living in my block, and I was like, oh, I wonder if we just put something on. If I put a quiz on the internet, if people paid £1 to play, would they? And if they could win 100k, I wonder if they do it. And people were like, oh, like okay, I could ask my friends, I could ask people I knew, and I was like, I want to ask anybody. So I'll do this crazy thing where I live in the 10th floor in this block in West London.
Roblox.
And whenever I heard the lift buzz, I would run out to the lift and go, yo, quick question. And they go, what? I'd be like, yo, would you pay £1 to, if you could win take a quiz, if you could win 100k? And people would go, yes or no. And I'd run back to my room and write it on the wall. So people who knew me was like, this guy's crazy. And so people would start talking, they'd be like, did you see some light-skinned brother run up to the lift and ask some questions about pay £1?
Just popping up when the lift is opening, like.
And then require that market research.
Yeah, that is true. It's facts.
And then
It's facts.
because actually initially I was asking people to come to my room. And I was like, you come to my room, write on the wall. And they were like, what type of weird shit is this? Right? And so eventually I was like, actually, then start taking the answers. And I was like, no, matter of fact, I need to catch everyone. What if I'm not here? What if I'm sleeping? What if I'm out? So I put I sellotape the thing, the question, the lift. Yeah, the sheet. I put it in the lift. I sellotape some pens. I was like, please answer and stuff, right? And some people did, majority didn't. Sometimes I find the paper on the floor. I'm like, no, we're gonna keep going. And I bet I still got the paper somewhere, right? And so I think starting with stuff like that. And I think the very first thing I put on the internet was in 2009, 10. I'm a big football head, right?
What team do you support? What's your team?
Top of the league team, Arsenal. You know what it is.
Come on, Gunners.
Oh wow. you got some hater in the building, man. It's okay. So I think the first thing we put on the internet was something along the same lines. It was, can you predict the Premier League table before the season starts? And if you get it right, you win 100k, right? And this was 2010, and at that point on the internet, we were just doing stuff like, the majority were just doing like going to YouTube, going to Facebook, and like not really going to any micro sites as such yet, right? And we then clearly we didn't have 100K to give anybody, right? But like, who cared? We just said we were going to give them 100K. I remember the week before the seat, and we had like a few thousand people sign up in the first week out of
Nice.
nowhere. We weren't really tracking anything, so we didn't know where they
Yeah.
were from. But we had led to all these partnerships and all this stuff. Fortunately, I had a team of 8. UCL were really supportive in technology and talent and stuff. And I remember the week before the season ended, some guy pinged us, emailed us, was like, "Hey, I'm so close to this, man. Like, I'm so excited for the next game." I asked it to our team, I was like, "Yo, we're going to watch the games really carefully. If he looks like he's about to win 100K, we're going to delete his table." that is all that's going to happen here. And we're going to go offline because we ain't got no 100K to give anybody. Right? Thankfully, he didn't win. By like halfway in one game, I realized this guy ain't going to win anything. Right? So, but I think that's how entrepreneurship starts. You just have something in your mind.
Yeah.
And you can be in your bedroom, you could be in a cafe, you could be anywhere, and you just go to make it a reality. And I think from there, I went and solved a bunch of problems, creating like mostly B2B, so selling to businesses, education companies, healthcare software, and I had a great journey along the way. I think made so many mistakes, right? Lost co-founders, blew up, had 1 or 2 companies which were growing really quickly, and then blew them up internally through like just like bad culture.
Okay.
But also had some good things happen. Built some companies, took some things international, built some teams out, raised capital from a bunch of different parties, a bunch of different places. That's individuals, that's groups, large companies, and corporations. And so got some really good experience. And then in 2018, I also went to sell some companies, had a few acquisition offers, so I understand what that whole process looks like as well. I didn't go through anything because I think if you ever talk to when you guys do talk to people who sell their companies, you have to make a decision: do you want to go work at that company or not? And several times I was like, I can't work there, man. I can't be there for 4 years. I'll get fired, and I've never had a job before. I'd get fired in week 1. I'd organize all the chairs overnight. They'd come back in. I'd be like, "Yeah, I've reorganized the organization. I think half the people got to go, and these are the people who got to go, and here's where everyone should sit for productivity." And they'd be like, "You got to go." That's exactly how the conversation would go. So yeah. Then 2018, a gay black woman from Texas named Arnold Hamilton started a fund called, just like before she started the fund, called Backstage Capital, the first VC fund investing in diverse entrepreneurs. And then she was here meeting up one of my brothers, Andy. His name's Andy as well. And
One of our brothers too.
Come on.
yeah,
Coming up
yeah,
on the
Double trouble on that.
family, man. And and so he was just helping her with some stuff here, just getting to understand the ecosystem. So when she came, she wanted to meet some investors, some entrepreneurs. So I organized for her to meet like some of my investors, some founders in my community and stuff. I could touch on the community. And then when she was leaving, she was like, "Hey, like I want to open up in Europe, and like I want you involved." And I said, "It's on you first, then it's on me. You get something to me, then I've got to look at it and decide and what I want to do." And I was doing that, and then when I decided yes, I was doing that and running my startup at the same time. And I work every hour I'm blessed with, man. But it all became a bit too much. I was dropping the ball a bit on the startup side. It was unfair on my customers, team, investors, board, whoever. And eventually I just left to run Backstage full time with myself, the other Andy, and one of our sisters, Anissa. And the 3 of us.
23 Coach Street.
Yeah, 23 Coach Street. Shout out her coding school. And we did that for a couple of years. I remember we had a conversation actually about, because Andy was in product management before in a large startup, and I was running a startup, and Anissa was running the coding school. And when we sat down, they were like, "Oh, does your life feel different?" Because their lives were so different. And I was like, "Nah," because actually, while I was running my startup, every weekend, every evening, I would just spend with black founders, helping them build their companies, find talent, build product, talk to customers, and get investment. So now the only difference was we were the ones writing the check, but my conviction was the same. If I was going to put you in front of people, I believed in you anyway, right? So my life didn't change at all, and my life's been going like that since. And the only thing I would add along the way is about 8-9 years ago, I set up a group called 10x10, a WhatsApp group of black founders in the UK, and it was just there to be supportive, right? I think for ages I was here by myself. There was a few people very silently elsewhere as well. And for a good couple of years, the group served as just a good support network for black entrepreneurs, right? And shout out BJ's in the mix. And there've been a few offshoots of that group. We've got there's a direct consumer group, which is direct to consumer, which is doing well, and there's great community there. We've got now a group I run called 10x10 VC of all the black VCs in Europe, and we're just existing to get more black people into venture. And
we'll try to get onto that soon.
And they enable them to thrive when they're in and stuff. And there's a lot more that's coming this year for that as well. So all in all, for me, I'm founder, community investor. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, like that journey has been incredible. You even did it a quick summary, if anything, because like 10 years is not easy to sum up, or even 15, because yeah, 2008, yeah, similar times when I was starting out, and the ecosystem has changed a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I remember going to Silicon Drink Roundabout,
Hell yeah.
you know, meeting the Ben Southworths, and the Free Beard guys and all that kind of stuff. And I grew up down the road from what they call Tech City, you know, Aldgate, Brick Lane. Um, and I think what I want to talk on is building a fund. Like
Yeah.
you're in the process of building your own
Yeah.
fund. You've obviously spent time in someone else's VC, doing an accelerator, which was great. And then you've spent some time with other VCs. So
Yeah.
you're there, one of their go-to guys when it comes to deal flow and just even maybe emergencies, opportunities. Andy, why have you chosen to build a fund when you clearly have all the skills and network to actually probably go in senior at a big
Any
fund
fund,
that
really.
already has 500 million or
Like,
100
yeah.
million? Or even some of these people, because they're trying to be more diverse right now, they might even give you like 50 mil or 20 mil to build up their black fund. Why have you chosen to build your own fund?
So I think
And how did you weigh it up? How did you come to that conclusion?
so one, I opened my mouth and said I was doing a fun, so I feel like I had to do that. But besides that, there was a lot of conversations in different places with a lot of funds. A lot of people are very good to me and were very positive, right? In that, hey, whatever you want, right? Or, almost. And I think for me, I just know that like I'm super early. The way I work with entrepreneurs, the way we all work in this ecosystem, this community, I think ownership is really important. I think I can go somewhere, I can get a job somewhere, I can be a partner somewhere, respectfully to all of that. But or we can just own it all, right? And yeah, it's a longer road. It's harder. There's things I don't know that I'm learning every day still, and I should know it all, right? Like about this ecosystem at least and venture, but you just there's so much learning you have to do. So I think that piece is really really important, right? It's a black fund, black for black entrepreneurs, with black investors in, and I wouldn't change it or any other way. Even if someone said to me, "Yo, you could be raising a fund or struggling for the next 5 years or something." I'm like, wait, so you're telling me in 6 years' time, do we get it done? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I bet. Well, then go, right? And that's all that matters. And it's that food boom, man. It's for us, by us, man, and that's it. Yeah.
So
And for example, I feel like that is so two pieces. So that's how you build like even a stronger trust with black entrepreneurs as well, right? They're just like, actually, we just know that you just want to do this work. There's no politics with other people at the fund. I know a bunch of black VCs, of course. I know that when they try to get a deal over the line, sometimes, depending on the sentiment in the market, is being black important or cool in this part of the world anymore, right? And stuff. And all of a sudden, decision makers just shift a little bit, right? And that's one thing. And two, I get to decide who the investors are as well, and I get to bring people along the journey. I don't want people hearing about the next WhatsApp and black people using it but not having benefited when all these billionaires are born and millionaires are made as a result.
yeah, big facts, big facts. So I'm trying to invest in your fund, and so are other people.
Yeah.
And we had this discourse about you saying, "Hey guys, just fill out this form if you wanna, if you wanna be part of the fund." So you said you're actually live learning. What have been like some top 3 mistakes so far that you've overcome when
Sure.
building the fund? And then maybe you can give us your playbook of what's been fun. But like someone out there right now wanting to kind of like support a fund. I mean, there might be someone in Africa watching this. Someone might watch this in a couple of years' time. Like this is a monumental. Like solo black guy in London being like, I'm raising a fund. Like what there were mistakes. One,
Yeah.
you can mention already,
So-
but you tell us top
yeah,
3 mistakes
so, top
and
three-
how you've overcome it.
So tell me a mistake. So firstly, when I just had the idea, the thought of doing a fund in my brain, I was like, I'm gonna just tweet about it and see what happens, right? No, so actually, I set up a syndicate, which is a group where you can just allow people to just come in per deal. So every time you see a deal, you can go to this group and say, hey, I've got a deal. Do you want to put some money in? And they say yes or no. And then those who say yes, take that money, put it in that deal. Fine. So I set that up. And then I looked and it was like, oh, to set up a fund, it was on some platform, AngelList. It was like, oh, you need a minimum of 500,000 in commitments. And people said they're interested. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, I wonder if I can get 500,000. So I was like, let me just tweet. So I put together a form. I tweeted, I just said, hey, I'm starting a fund. If you're interested, fill out this form. I didn't know you're not allowed to do that. So I tweeted about 10 a.m. or something, right? Or whatever time it was. And then by like 2:30, latest 3 o'clock, I'd received 5 calls. I was on my 5th call with a lawyer. And so I had to take the tweet down. I should probably take it down later. But I had to take the tweet down. I had to be sure. But in that time, the fund got to like, because it was like, hey, it was more for black people. It was like, hey, if you want to invest in a fund, minimum check is £1,000. And in that time, got to like about 3.5 million in commitments, like out of nowhere. And it's like, just tells you what our community wants and how we're trying. And people, obviously, I don't know all these people, hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And
We all see
I was one of those people. I remember that.
we all see Nas and Jay-Z
Yeah.
getting on the deals. We're seeing culture. LeBron raise money. So UK, US, like we obviously, our cultures can kind of look at stuff. And obviously we've seen people in Africa. So yeah, we're all kind of sat there being like, oh, you want to be involved in the deals that you don't know about.
Yeah, 100%. So and I think so mistakes was one, you're not allowed to market, quote unquote, market a fund unless the fund exists, and you're not allowed to like do that type of promotion for a fund. That's one piece of learning. 2 is, I think timing is super important, right? Some other stuff I didn't know was just how long it takes to set things up, right? Because when I did it, the time was perfect, right? In that, it's so interesting how timing works. The time was perfect to go and get money from black people because being black was so important, like was more important to white people on this side of the world than it is today, right? It's seemingly. But what I say about timing as well is that I'm so grateful the fund wasn't up then, because I think that we would have also been caught up in like hype bubble cycles financially and could have put money into companies which may not exist tomorrow. I'm like, now I'm super excited. I'm like, now there's a down market. Now's a perfect time to start this fund and invest and get in with good prices to produce what I call a super returns fund. And that means return excessive amount of capital to the investors. So lesson one is don't put word about a fund. Don't go promote a fund that doesn't exist, or you're not allowed to self-promote a fund. 2 is timing has to be right. And if it's the right timing, run like the wind, right? Remove all distractions from your life. My life has been a bit distracted. The fund should have been up some time ago, admittedly, but I did a task at the beginning of the year. You know, people write those annual letters, right, and stuff. So I did the same, but mine was like 6 bullet points long because I ain't nobody got time for that. So
My friend Shanice, I think you know as well, Shanice Smith, she's always like, "I'll be there, write a letter to your future self, man."
have you done it yet? No.
Bullet points.
Bullet points, baby, bullet points. So
like my whole letter.
oh, letter, exactly. So 6 bullet points. What went well, what didn't go well last year, and part of what didn't go well was all centered around how I spent my time, and I was just stretched. So I believe I do at least give a lot of time for the community and the culture and black entrepreneurs. So I looked on spending like probably 70-80% of my week just with black founders, planned and unplanned, right? Things happen, emergencies happen every single day in startup land. So but I feel like there needs to be a bit of sacrifice just to get to a greater good for us all. So that's what I'm currently focused on now. So, and that's moving the fund along significantly faster than it was moving along before. So I think lessons are, one, go check with lawyers and stuff, and the FCA or whoever the equivalent is in your region. 2 is timing. When the timing's right, run like the wind and maximize the opportunity. And then the 3rd thing is just if you're going to do something, let's commit. It requires commitment. Anything great requires commitment, and so make sure you're ready to really commit and don't waste the opportunity. Ultimately,
Love that. Now, I love your journey. And when I met both you and Andy, it was the first time I'd seen black people in VC, like in real life, like actually meeting someone in real life. And I was like, yo, this has opened up like so many possibilities for me. And I was more on the operator startup side at that point in my life. And then I remember having a thought like, yo, I need to jump onto the VC side, onto the investor side. And I wanted to ask a question around, I know loads of black founders, but I don't know a lot of black investors. And like, what is the importance of going into the world of investing? Because I know we have some amazing black founders right now in the UK. Some have exited, some are en route to exit in, some are about to make a whole lot of money. And it's like, how can they kind of use that money to reinvest back into the ecosystem? Should they? Is a fund a good way to do this? So like, what's your advice for potential founders who are about to exit, and like how to sort of use their money, right? Basically,
you've got to put the money back into the ecosystem, into black founders. You can invest in like 10x10 Capital, my fund, yes, and there's a bunch of other black-led funds as well.
Yeah.
you got to put the money somewhere. You got to put money to work in this direction, and or you just, if you don't want to invest in a fund, you hit us up and we can just point you in the direction of startups. Or you let any of us know that you're interested in investing in startups, and we will, when we see deals, we'll share deals with you. And I think everyone's always surprised. You can exit your company and do that, or you can just have £1,000 to do it. But
Yeah.
startups, founders are now taking £1,000 checks from anyone, right? Or from people they trust and they like. But you got to go and build that relationship as well, and you got to let us be a bridge to that as well. So I think just about getting in contact with us.
That's sick.
A lot of the black founders who have like later stages and have exited, for example, they're putting money to the fund, my fund, right? And so they see that as their way of doing it, and that way they're going to get access to deals as we go.
Yeah.
And I'm excited they're putting money to the fund, but I'm actually more excited. I'm way more excited, actually, to tell the truth, for the co-investment opportunity. So every time the fund sees a deal, I'll go, yo, you've invested in the fund, now you've got access to this deal as well at an angel level. Like, let's do it. So in my mind, I think the money they're going to make from investing in those deals alongside the fund is going to be way more than they make from the fund, in my opinion.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love that. Tell me about your portfolio, because there's been some really awesome founders that you've backed, and you've been really bullish on, like shouting from the rooftops about them. And just like in any race, when it comes to business doesn't see race. Business is business. There's either a cash positive business, or there's momentum, or there isn't. I'm a big fan of building people up, supporting, but I'm also a realist when it comes to people's capacity, and it's hard to tell someone no on their dream, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing when someone just like the right talent, the right time, and it goes. So I'd love to talk about both sides. One, some founders you've been bullish on, why you're bullish on them, and then I'm gonna ask the second question.
Sure. So I'll take it. So I always get asked what I look for in a deal or an investment. I would say it's just all about the founder, right? And I think I look for three things, right? It's all about the founder, and I look for three things. One is obsession. I'm an obsessed person, and I think I need obsessive people as well, right? You have to be so obsessed. And I'll give an example afterwards of one or two of my founders who fit the bill. I think obsession leads to unique insights that nobody else has seen. If you're so obsessed with an industry, with a problem, with a market, like you're going to just see something, or you're going to have an assumption no one's had before, and you're going to run like the wind to go and prove that correct or incorrect. And so that's critical. The second piece is validation. I saw friends of mine joke and say, hey, you should get a t-shirt saying I would invest in a spreadsheet, because I would invest in an Instagram page, a spreadsheet, text messages. Just show me that people need something. Show me people need it, right? And I don't care how they're getting it delivered to them. If they're willing to get the service or the solution to them from a spreadsheet, a text message, an email, then we can build some great software for them, no doubt, right? But just go and prove that. People all the time, I think, they want to just, I need money to build this tech product or whatever it is. I think you can solve 90% of things for free, like on texts, Instagram page, Twitter, emails, whatever it is, or a lot of free websites. So one is obsession, two is validation, and the third thing is large, fast-growing markets. And I don't even care if you're like, hey, the market size is this, because people create markets all the time. You have to be super bullish on the market you're in and where it's going in the future, right? 100%.
How many years in the future do you look at in terms of timeline when
10.
you're looking? 10.
I'm always like, what does the world look like in 10 years' time? Like, how is the world better? And how has the world changed as a result of this company existing for the next 10 years? Right? And I ask every founder at the end of each meeting, every single meeting, I'm like, what do you want? And it was like, oh, what do you mean, personally or professionally? Answer as you wish, right? I just want to know what you want, right? And that just I think that tells me more than the last half an hour of that call, an hour meeting.
You hear that, guys? What do you want?
Magic
That's a
question
real gem.
right there,
That's
yeah.
a gem right there.
Right. So founders, I'll give an example too. So I've got two businesses. One is I'll start with a black female founder backed super early, found her while she's at university, Josephine Phillips, and she's half Sierra Leonean as well. Yes, if you're Sierra Leonean, you should reach out. But yeah.
No nepotism here. We rising up.
Community, right? That's it. That's a big community. So she started a business called Sojo. It started off as a delivery for clothing alterations. So if you're like me, you've got 20 pair of black jeans under your bed for no reason. You can just, that don't fit or whatever it is, or have rips. You can just, someone comes to you, picks it up, takes it to a tailor, brings it back to you. You just organize it through the app, like delivery. It started that way. Then a lot of the large brands reached out, and now it's sitting at checkout. Software was such at checkout. So instead of you buying 2 items from, let's say, from Cortez, for example.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
You don't know which one's gonna fit,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you
I
know
do
which
that
one's
a
gonna
lot
fit.
as well.
So good. So you're part of the problem, right? So instead of that, we have a button that says at checkout that would just say, instead of ordering 2, order 1, and if it doesn't fit, you want to get you want to get tailored for free, and that way you order one that's large. If it doesn't fit, you open up the app, pull it in, and then you can get you get that piece of clothing tailored for free for you. So that's what Soja's going to be doing. It's going to save all these companies all this waste, because the likes of Nike, Levi's, etc., they have like 45 to 50% returns rate just because of clothing, which is mad. And then last example is a business called Audio Mob. And when you play games on your mobile phone, you get a video ad which takes over for 30 seconds to 1 minute, which is kind of frustrating. People leave the games, delete the games, don't come back. And when they do, so these are 2x Googlers. Instead, you get an audio ad now, which just plays the ad instead. So then that's now becoming a gigantic business.
Yeah. So that's examples of like, and it's mad because I know both individuals in questions. I've actually invested in Sojo recently, which has been good. So thanks for bringing that to the table. And Wilfred, I actually met him when he was at Google interning. And we both were at Wolf Holland, so that was super dope. Now, we could flip it onto the other side and let's talk about actually when you got to support a founder, because obviously we're trying to raise the community up, but they're not at the level or the place to really warrant you putting like 15 hours right now in a mix of like that 100 or 300 or 500 people. So I know you do stuff like community events, but like, how do you navigate when people know you as a go-to person who says yes and supports people, but how do you navigate having to tell people some hard truths about their startup or their roadmap? Like, how have you navigated that? Because that's also something that for some people who are watching, who are like, oh, let me go back and mentor, let me go back and coach. I'm a big fan of, sometimes there are mentors and coaches who've told me some wrong things because they weren't trying to be too real with me. So how have you navigated that? And what's the process you go for when you find something that you might not actually fully believe in, but just tell us.
I don't believe in 99% of things, right? I'm investing in 1% of the startups I see, right? That's the numbers, right? So if every month I meet 120 companies, we'll make one investment, right? Like 1 to 2, okay. But I think what our whole culture, just in investment, in business, in like media, like the whole culture generally, I think what we're missing is honesty. Right? I think like we need to be more honest with each other, right? And an example of that is founders will ask me all the time, right? They'll be like, hey, can you talk to this other founder? This founder's great, blah, blah. They send the founder to me, and I'll be like, I'll meet the founder. Founder's not so great. That's a process, right? No one starts great. And then I'll contact the person who connected us. I'll go, yo, you said this person's great. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I spoke to them. I don't think they're great. And they're like, yeah, you're right. They're not so great. And I'm like, so why'd you send them? I said, matter of fact, you did them a disservice, because if you send them to other investors and they're not ready, when you could have helped them get ready, but instead you just was being nice. You didn't want to be mean. You didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. We ain't got no time for that, right? None. Because time is money and all this stuff. And like, actually, opportunity is even slimmer than that. So in our culture, I tell all the black VCs all the time. I tell all the other black founders, I'm like, yo, everyone needs to be more honest with each other. So if I meet someone, I'm like, yo, this ain't it. I'm like, I don't think this is it. And I like, again, I will say, just an opinion. This is one opinion of many in the world, right? So I meet people that, yes, I met someone. I said to him, doesn't matter what the business is. But I was like, what are you doing this weekend? And he was like, oh, why? Like, nothing really. And I was like, I think you should like go and brainstorm like much bigger ideas than this. I was like, I think you're smart, and I think this idea is too small for what you're doing. I said, if you're gonna put your all into everything, my gosh, man, if you're gonna like kill yourself for this, make it worth it. Yeah. This is not a big opportunity. This is not worth your time. This is not gonna go anywhere, in my opinion. Right? And so I think we need to be honest with each other. That's what's critical in our culture, I think.
So we were just chatting about this sort of Pitch Black series that you do, and I think my girl actually found out about you through Instagram and some of these like live streams that you're doing with founders. And I was explaining to her that Andy just does stuff in unconventional, cool, raw ways. So I want you to like break down how you even came up with the idea and what it is.
So Pitch Black is a IG live series where I just interview black founders. And it actually just started because someone was on, this is like during lockdown, right? Or just towards the end of lockdown. Someone was on live on IG, and they were just like, yo, can you come on? And then I was just talking to like 1 or 2 founders, whatever it was, on the thing. And then someone was just like, oh, I've got this idea. Yeah, when it's ready, I'm soon gonna go pitch to investors. I was like, what's the idea? And they were like, no. I was like, why are you scared? I was like, just pitch, man. What's the problem? And started pitching. And I was just like, I was like, oh, I had some questions. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then people in the comments just like, oh, that was sick. Like, you should do it more often. And there's people hit me up like, oh, hey, could you come and can you come and do that somewhere else? Or can you do more stuff like that? And I just said, nah. Next week I just said, who wants to go live and just chat about the business, whatever. And we did it, and actually I didn't even go live first. So the other guy, the founder, went live first, and he didn't even record it. So that episode's just like in the wind somewhere. And then from there, like we had those people come in and watch it right live, and they still stay for the hour. And I was like, huh? Like 8 and 9 of you here for an hour and a half. That's weird. Like, and then I just put something in. So I was like, yo, should I do this? Yes or no? Keep doing this. People were like, yeah. And I was like, but. And then I was like, what do you think it should be called? And as you can see on my IG stories, it's a highlight, and it's like just like branding pitch black or how it started, and the story's just there, and the crowd just followers just named it, right? And then we had a bunch of names, and pitch black came up once, 2, 3 times, and that's like pitch black, yes or no, and people were like, yeah, and I was like, I bet that's what it's called, right? Just crossed to give it to the community, and then just did 50 episodes back to back every single week for a year, same time every week, and just pretty chill. Just put every Monday morning, I just put a message up saying, yo, who wants to pitch? And someone just a bunch of people hit me up, and I'll just decide. I'll just be like, all right, whatever, this person. And then yeah, we just did that, man. Yeah, it's cool.
Love
and
that.
we're gonna bring it back with like some in person ones now, because the world's a bit different.
What's your
later
vision
this
for
year.
the in-person one?
The vision is, my thing is all about access. Everything I do, right? So if it's for black entrepreneurs to come along and just learn about those stories and know in advance, because obviously it was on Monday, they found out who's on Pitch Black when it went live, like an hour before or something. So they'll know in advance, and if it's relevant to your business, you probably send in questions, and I want you to come and get value. I'm not here to motivate and inspire anybody, right? I feel like that's all on YouTube. You want motivation and inspiration, go to YouTube, right? Like, come here to get value, and that's it, right?
Yeah, go to the blocks. If you're gonna go YouTube, go to the blocks to bags.
Yeah, you go to
YouTube,
YouTube, go to Blocks and Bags,
we,
right?
we do our both. That's what we're trying to do as well. We're trying to actually move to a sort of place where you're not just giving vibes. Vibes is cool and that,
Vibes is
but
cool.
a
I always
real
bring the
hard
vibes.
value as well is even more
Oh,
important.
listen, we're gonna bring the vibes nonetheless, right?
Yeah,
like,
of
no
course.
doubt, we'll bring the vibes anyway. So, but I think the vision is we just want to make sure we're adding value to black founders and deliver it in a very explicit way. So when you're coming, we do live ones, there'll be papers and pens. It won't just be the hour. We may do some break it up a bit as well. We're gonna have founders at different stages, and maybe different parts of like their companies involved as well, team and stuff, and just make it real. And actually, you're gonna learn how to build that company if you're in that room that day. And I think that's what's important.
It's almost like, and I saw Theo, our friend
Yeah.
who signed this weekend or the other weekend. He kind of like just reminded me of old school hackathon days. Remember when that was a thing? But it's like super practical. You're there, you're building something, you're seeing something. So when you were describing that, it sounded like it's almost like it's like a live business plan, business development.
So there's an event
basically.
There's an event I'm doing in summer. What I call a term sheet shootout. So a term sheet is a contract you get from an investor, VC, or an angel investor, with the terms of your like agreement on it between you, them, and your business. And I think people don't understand the terms, because obviously you're all new to this. If you're a first-time entrepreneur, especially when I was a first-time founder, I learned everything myself. Like, so now it's like water to me. But I think everyone will get there. So, but I don't want anyone making mistakes along the way. Right? There's no reason why we've all lived these lives and all have our experiences. Learn from history. Right? You got to cheat history. I think in the culture, I want everyone to cheat history. No one to waste time. No one to make the mistakes we've made. It doesn't make sense. So this event is going to be myself as the investor, a founder pitching to me, and then a lawyer on stage. And then everyone in the room is going to have a term sheet, a contract, like in front of them. And we're going to have a screen. We're going to go through term by term, a live pitch negotiation, right? So when you leave that room, you're going to know which terms are good, which terms are bad, which terms can go well together for your stage. And we're going to do it at different stages, right? So I think just, again, practical, value-driven stuff, right? Yeah.
We love that. We love that. So for me, like when people go away from this episode, I want people to know, that you can build a fund one day. You can angel invest. For those who are angel investing, know that the LP you are building, or the practice you're building, that people can actually invest at some point, because you're probably gonna open up a few times. I know your portfolio has been super successful. I'm just gonna read some stats out for the people so they don't know.
Sure.
So. In terms of your portfolio so far, you've got B2B businesses, you've got B2C businesses you've supported, you've got businesses like Sojo, The Stack, Hutch, Audio Mob, Vitae, Galdem, Trimit, Afrocentrics, and the list goes on. Black founders killing it. 50% female, and 12 out of 16, you were the first money in. You kind of like started your own thing that I really love, and I'm probably gonna like learn from, called the secret round. Maybe there's something
When
that
you say learn from, do you mean still?
no, learn from.
He was looking for a word. He was looking for a word. He did well. I'm joking,
I'll
I'm
have to
joking.
steal it. Like,
You can take it.
No,
Secret round.
just evolve it. Like, it's not stealing. It would be like, oh, me being.
I'm
create something
joking.
called a
I'm
secret
joking.
round.
You steal it.
You know what I mean? But like black people like were really sometimes like hit up with the word steal, theft. But I think what it's like, for me, lesson's important.
Yeah.
This is what the show's all about. So that's what we're on. So by the secret round, what I love about it is you identifying, and it's what our previous guest Jonathan Sun talked about. He like to be like that first ticket in
Early
like
founders,
people on paper weight. So like it's a regular theme here. Probably something we can bring up, but you've made this thing which I love. I was like, I've never rigged something like this. The secret round. Maybe it's something you read somewhere else.
No,
but I was just like, this is dope. Like they've just started. The market doesn't know they exist. They aren't raising. Hey, what do you need? How can I help support? What I wanted to know. Tell us about the fund. We spoke about the mistakes and the challenges of starting a fund, but tell us about the fund you're building, the vision for the next 2-3 years. Yeah.
Tell us about these secret rounds and how you get in these secret rounds.
So firstly, a secret round, what I've coined as like a secret round is, I meet you, you're just a brilliant black person. I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. You're just someone with something in your mind, like a solution or a problem you want to solve. And I'm like, are you raising money? You're like, no, I'm not perfect. Here's some money. And I do it in a day or two. That's it. No one knows about it. Like, we haven't got to be in market raising money for 3 to 6 months. Forget all of that. Like, we're going to like, this money, we're going to use it to get you to a certain place, certain milestones, and you're going to be super attractive to the rest of the market, and your business is going to be in a super great position, right? I've done it a few times, and I would say part of my old life that I miss is like the quiet and stuff. And I think that's probably sits along that line culturally. But it's just about doing the work. It's only about doing the work, right? And I think we're just gonna, like, even with the fund, that we're gonna make an announcement. Someone asked me yesterday, "You're gonna have a launch party? You're gonna do this?" No, we're just gonna get to work. That's what matters, man. Yeah. We'll have a launch party in 10 years when everyone who's invested is like a massive millionaire or
But tell us about the fund.
So the
10 by
fund,
10
so
capital.
10x10 Capital is a.
What are you investing in? What are you looking for?
So just exceptional black founders across Europe, and 10% of the fund's going to do Africa as well, right? And software only. First check into this companies investing 50 to 250K per company. Looking for obsessed founders, looking for like just brilliant black founders out there, and helping all founders in the community just grow anyway in progress. I think that for the fund, we're letting people invest a minimum £1,000 to get in. That's really important for access for our people and our culture. And I think the last thing is all the funds out there, right? So 2 things. I think if you invest in black founders, there's people who are also going to be investing in black founders. There's white funds, there's like funds run by black people who do that, diverse founders, but no one's going to do it better, right? It's impossible. I just think the vision is just to, in our culture, we've got all these problems. We've got all these healthcare, infrastructure, and education problems on the continent and elsewhere, right? And that's as a people, as black people. And so we've got to solve for that. And this fund and the path I'm on, startups, is just the beginning, right? It's just the first leg of it all, right? So with the fund, we want a bunch of VC funds return, a bunch of VC funds return, 3x, so 3 times your money over 10 years. But we've got like 1 or 2 funds in the US, a few funds who have done like 10 to 100x, 1000x.
Tier
right?
ones, the big
That is the only place I want to sit, right? The only ambition here is to return 100 times everyone's money, right? And yeah, the document says 5 times your money. That's what we'll do, right? Whatever, fine. Well, I'm very fortunate. I've been very fortunate that my portfolio is so good that I'm on course to like be in line with like the top funds anyway. So very fortunate, but want to go beyond that. Like I'll say, I think there's the first slide is like Sequoia level return. Sequoia is the #1 VC fund in the world. I don't say it to say, excuse me. I don't say it to say I'm going to be at Sequoia's level. My ambition is not to be Sequoia. My ambition is to be beyond, right?
Yeah.
Like understand and return way more capital than that for everyone. So that's why I call it a super returns fund. And I'm very clear about it. And it's a small fund. It's 7.5 million because the more money you raise, it's all a bit ego and management. You get management fees to like pay us off salaries. Listen, let's earn those salaries if we're going to do it, right? Let's earn that money. And if I've got 7.5 million, I'm like confident. I'm like, yeah, we can turn this into like 750 million, a billion like pound over like 10 years. Yeah, like, so let's just go to do that and let's just do that work. That's it.
Say no more.
That's a big drip and a big moment. Um, for anyone out there who kind of like is suffering with imposter syndrome or struggling with like making himself feel resilient, what are some things that you've done to overcome feeling like you're not good enough?
So, um, maybe I have that issues, right? So maybe I never felt that way, but like and that's I say I have issues because I'm the one with the issues because I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do, you can get up, you can pray. I get up in the morning, I put my headphones in, I listen to a podcast, right? Like I listen to a podcast, and oh, no, that's not true. So the first one I actually listen to is the same Michael Jordan advert that was filmed many years ago, right? And it's called Maybe, right? And even when I'm in the gym, I just listen to audio of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant just trash talking the whole time. They're just talking to me, right? And that's the mentality I carry every second of every single day. And that ball's never dropped for some reason. And it's like on my, like in front of me, when I'm working, we've got these like magic whiteboards. It's just like sheets you throw up and sticking out the window. And it's just got like the top funds there. It's got my fund and all the other top funds there. It's got like, sort of quote, it just says no bullshit, no distractions, which was what the WhatsApp guys had on their screen the whole time to stop them putting ads in it. Like, and I've got Kobe's book there. I've got Michael Jordan's book there. I've got a Kobe jersey hanging on my door as I go to leave, right? And on the door, even above it, something I put there last month, which just says, have you exhausted yourself? And underneath it says, plus one more. And that story for that is, I listened to some guys who won the Super Bowl last season, and they were saying that their coach kept saying to them when they're training like 4 times a week because they play so much, like don't stop until you've exhausted yourself, until your heart feels like it's going to fall out of your chest. And then at that point, plus one more. And that's my mentality every time. I'm not allowed to leave the office or leave that room until I've exhausted myself, plus one more. Where am I going? So for me, maybe it's all that stuff. When I was 18, when I was doing that thing with the lift and calling people out to come answer this quiz in my room, people be like, what is this prison? You just got all these quotes around the room and stuff, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's just like my psyche every single day, 24/7. And it's like, okay, maybe something's wrong with me. But that's okay, right? I think hopefully I'll move our culture forward a little bit. So yeah.
That was a great way to end. And that kind of says a lot about how you have been literally a undeniable beast in this space and why your fund is going to kill it. Thank you for coming on.
So very last thing is, if you're a black founder out there, just hit me up. Even if you want to chat, if you've got a question, just hit me up. I think we all need to be accessible. Like just hit me up, right? And send me a short message. Don't make it long, please. Send me
Bullet points if you can as well. Yeah.
a voice note that's not like if it's 1 minute long, don't send 2, just send 1, please. Like delete it and then do it again. But email that I could read on my phone without scrolling, please. And yeah, just hit me up. Like just make yourself accessible for us and our culture to move forward and progress. And yeah, and if you're a black investor, you want to get into VC or start investing, hit me up as well.
Dope. Right, guys, that's been a great episode of Blocks of Bags. I've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. That goes a long way.
Gems on gems on gems. Raw, unplugged, organic. We got everything that we could have ever wanted and more. Thank you very much, Andy.
Blocks of bags, let's get it.
Let's go.
Yes, people. It's another episode of Blocks of Bags. It's your boy Beach. This episode, I'm going to be going direct with 2 of my favorite people talking about some of the interesting things that I think you guys can do in 2023 around your business. Andy's been an entrepreneur. He's also an investor. Mickey started his own business and he's doing a lot of stuff around content. So I thought today, boys, we could have a conversation around getting to the bag. We're obviously called Blocks of the Bags. There's a lot of different ways people can get to their bag. I would ask you guys both a question. If you guys didn't do your jobs right now and you were put into a startup where there was only 4 people and you had to make your first 100K, what industry would you be in and what would your role be in the team?
Oh, that is a hard one. I don't know. I think obviously I've spent a lot of my time in financial services and tech, like covering that area. That's what I would want to do naturally because I feel like, obviously that's where I'm comfortable with. But trying to make 100K in an industry like that is super hard. It's like a long time. So I don't know. I'm always attracted to the idea of any business that has a product to sell. I know we live in a time where it's like a lot of the focus is on scalable, tech first businesses. And don't get me wrong, obviously those are great ideas, but it's a long haul. Sometimes I think there's a lot of space for product driven businesses with real, actual physical products. So I'd think something like that. Maybe I'd want to work in the strategy side of it or the ops side of it in terms of directing some like execution. That's yeah, so kind of vague, but I think that's where I would start with it.
Love that. Yourself?
So I've got a question. You see, when you introduce people on this show, do you always say they're your favorite people?
Absolutely. We used to get. I don't.
Curveball.
At the moment, we're only interviewing our favorite people.
That's it, man. Love that.
Yeah,
There we are.
like well, there's
He's
no
PR trained, man.
there's literally no PR team putting people to sit with us.
It's
So-
live. Sorry, it's just
This is all recording, yeah. So if someone comes on our show, because me or Seb really, we like them and we like how they speak, we like how they move, we feel like their story is a story to be told. So
for what it's worth, you're one of my favorite people. So
thank you.
so to answer the question, I think so agreed on. Actually, if you're gonna start, you need to get 100K. You should probably. And what's the time frame for getting 100K? Actually,
6 months.
6 months. Then like
Because cash is king, and we're living in a up and down economy. I didn't even say 100K profit as well. I just said 100K.
Revenue.
so you need to generate 100K. Yeah, 100% just buy and sell something like something e-commerce or so something e-commerce. And I think where I would probably sit is we're coming up to the summer now, right? Spring, summer. So I think there's gonna be a lot of outdoor activity. I would find stuff for like people to do with like their pets and stuff, right? And some sort of like activity event or training for their pets, and just go find people who like live in new builds who is like spending too much money. Like we're just on accommodation, so they've probably got some other spare cash somewhere as well, and just go to sell to like that demo of people like mid-20s to like late 30s, and just target pet owners there, and just find the products within that space.
Yeah, I mean the pet spaces. Yeah.
That's
Be-
it.
you know,
He knows
you
a
know.
little bit about that. Check out our episode where he talks about that.
Yeah. That's a great space actually, because I feel like that's almost like a luxury good. So when the economy is a bit down, people are not gonna cut back on their pets. But I do think the outdoor kind of vibe is also smart, right? Like seasonal play, thinking about what's going on.
So
right
6
now.
months. Yep, we've got 6 months of heat, 6 months of like non-cold weather, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
events could be good as well. People, if you've got like your network and you leverage that event, could be a really
So you know
sick one.
exact business actually. So there's all these day parties and all these events, right? And yeah, fine, we're in London, and a lot of them are London based. We've got some that happen outside of London, admittedly, right? In other cities, but people come from those other cities as well. And even if it's like just a bit out of London, people host them like on the outskirts of London, right? The Kents, etc., whatever, Hertfordshire and stuff. And it's so long for people to get there. So I think what I'll do is set up a coach business just for people to travel there, and just charge them, right? Get a coach, get a driver, and charge people tickets to go and come back. Like we just drop them all off, like uni days.
Yeah.
Drop them all off, bring them back, right? Simple cash, and it's just alongside those. And we know all the events they're going to. We can just arrange pickups in different parts of London and stuff, right? Cash, simple.
Sick here. That's a sick.
I think for me, what I'd do is I'd probably do a couple of experiential businesses. I love being in nature. So
Now, I think the question was, what one business would you do? I think
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
question.
For me, the one business I would do is I would literally just set up a black-owned adventure like studio that actually takes over a lot of these adventure parks.
Yeah.
And just do like our own theme festivals at different places. So like redoing Butlins, for example, redoing Fort Park. So Stormzy takes over for her birthday, and bare people see it in content and like, oh, I wish I could come to that. Like, so actually animating stuff where you don't have to take the back end risk of buying the venue, but you're doing programming. There's a lot of money to be made in programming, sponsorship, merch on the day, food, and then there's content. So I'll pick like 7 or 8 of the biggest venues and then just go from there. So that'll be my thing. Right, next set. Getting your first 100 customers is the segment we're going to tackle next. So first question to both of you is how to build your customer base from scratch.
So with the businesses we just said.
Just anything. Just if someone right now trying to get their first 100 customers.
Let's put people on game. We just said some businesses, right? So
Yeah.
take these 3 business ideas and go run at the win. Let's just give them a business.
Cool,
right?
let's unpack
so,
it.
alright, so we've got this business of coaches going to these day parties and these events, right? Not just in our culture, but outside the culture as well. There's so many. And so one of my first 100 customers, I'd hit up all the events first and say, yeah, we've got a coach company that does this and this alone. We're going to organize the whole logistics. You put word out, we'll give you a commission, right? And then that's up to them. That's one avenue. A second avenue would be, of course, just like you can do some like Insta and Facebook ad targeting, just people who follow those pages and engage with the content. Another like simple way, and there'll be like a volume play and you get a small small percentage converting, right? But eventually you have some customers. I think the third piece I'll do is I would like, because we have a lot of the university students who are going there, go straight to universities and go to societies and go, actually, you maybe we offer discounts to the university students if they just book this way, right? And you go through the sites, they do the distribution for you, right? Like, yeah, there's a few things I do to get the first 100 customers. 100%.
Love that. Very practical.
Yeah, I mean, I would say pretty much the same thing. I think if I was to distill it, it's just trying to find like the first few deals that get like the network effect for you. So if you're thinking about festivals or something, you know, like if you've got, there's going to be people go in groups. If you get that one person or that anchor in a group or in any kind of environment to be the one that acquires that product, you already converted like 10 other people or whatever people in the chain. So like, especially when it's early on the business, I feel like that's the ones that maybe are the low-hanging fruits, right? Because you spend a bit of money or effort acquiring that one customer, but that customer acquires for no extra cost from 10 more or whatever. Right? So there's like, I think that's what I'll do. But the general ones you said, right, I agree with.
Yeah, and I also all the time, I agree. I always ask people like, how does a customer of yours bring you more customers all the time? Right? Your customer has to bring you customers. You can't acquire every customer. That's not going to work, right? If you want to scale something, you want to grow massively.
Yeah, referrals are a massive way to kind of scale.
And it's the best type too, right?
Yeah,
because you get like that like added on loyalty. Because it's like if someone's bought something and they're like, yo, you have to buy this.
Yeah, 100%.
That friction is just almost gone, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, for me, I would, with the concept I had, there's obviously the venues that are the customers, but also the actual customers. I think for me, I would get our experiences listed up on marketplaces that list experiences. So Fever app, Locals, all of those, which just makes a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And then maybe even pay for promo so that we get like put up if they have got those opportunities. And then on the venue side, just strike up a deal where you get them to tell a story on why we're doing it. So whether we're coming from a diversity angle or like this launch or this, so then you get them to retarget to anyone that's ever come to their place. Just a no-brainer. So that's what I'll do. And that's something that anyone can do. So if you guys are setting up businesses back home, take any of these prospects that we've kind of given you guys and please hit us up, let us know how it's gone. Right.
Or you just ask BJ to put it on his Instagram story. I was putting his stories on Insta, you'll get your first 100 customers.
Yeah, there you done.
Done.
Right. So I've got another segment. So I've got like we can roll the dice. Which one do you guys want to do? So we've got pitching to big brands or starting with £1,000.
Who said that?
Who said that?
Where is that coming from?
So are we
Let's do 1,000. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So in starting with £1,000, there's 3 different questions I've got. So one of them is 5 things to consider when investing your money into your business. So when starting with £1,000.
How are you doing it? Are you doing the business yourself or are you investing in something?
That's a good question.
Because this is literally like for audience watching, like they may literally be like, I don't even have an angel investor yet. I'm just starting out. So yeah.
I mean, you know, I told you when we did the episode on my pet shop, we started that business with like maybe like £100, right? Obviously, I think when you've got a small amount of capital to start with, you've got to do a product that you could do yourself, and you've got to do a product that moves fast, right? So either you buy something online and then you sell it for a profit, right? So you want to have like fast moving goods, and if it's £1,000, you don't want to have it on one thing. Really, ideally, you want to kind of have some stock, right? You don't want to just buy like one thing that's 1,000 and sell it for a bit of a profit. So I think that's one thing I'd say. You have to think about like where you're going to distribute that, obviously, because you don't want to really lock up any more money on anything other than product. So the distribution network, you have to figure out how much of it you can do yourself end to end, because again, if you're not going to be able to take advantage of scale, there's no point really in depending on other people or hire at such a small scale that is, right? Like, can you do everything yourself? What else is there? I mean, you just have to figure out like the unit cost of things. You have to figure out like, is this the kind of thing where I have to make a profit per good right now, or is it if it's a recurring product like my dog food, for example, I don't have to really worry about making a profit on that sell each time, because I know someone's gonna, if they like the product, they'll come back every month or every week. So I think we have to figure out like your market and product margin there. Like, is it the kind of thing where I can just sell more? Is it a recurring good? And that will determine also how you sell it, I think. I don't know how many that is, but I feel like
There's a
that's
few,
it.
no. What would you
Yeah.
add?
So £1,000, I think. So I'll give the coach business example and how I'd go back with a coach business, and I'll give like a real example at someone near me now. So with a coach business, I would use my phone. I'd call up one or two places to see how much it costs to rent the coach. And I don't imagine it would cost you £1,000 for a coach for a day. For a day, right? We're not talking about a fancy limousine, nothing bougie. Just need to get you there and get you back. That's basically it, right? So I'll just inquire, and then I think when you're talking about like the distribution, how would you get the first 1,000 customers? You necessarily haven't got to spend a penny, because nowadays there's free websites on the internet. You haven't got to spend a penny to acquire those customers, and you only go and get the coach. You do it in advance anyway of like the events in July. In May, you're like, okay, who wants to get a coach to this? As soon as tickets come out, probably a month or two before, you just put word out about the coach, and you set a deadline that coach tickets are done in June. You get the coach tickets in, and you go and get your coach, right? But I'll give a very practical example, right, as well. So my little sister runs a lash business where she does lashes for people, and eyelashes. She went and did a training course. She was like, I want to do this. I pay to get my lashes done all the time, but I think I can do this as well. So she went and paid £580 to do training, and you get like your first lash set with it as well. And I was like, £580, that's so expensive, but I thought it was expensive. Okay, I bet, whatever. Then she then went and bought the table that people sit on when they lay on when they get their lashes done, with all the stuff and with all the other stuff. She spent like 400 something pounds. And I was like, oh, you spent like £1,000 now. And then the only other thing she did was tidy up her bedroom. That's it. Put an Instagram page up. That's it. Boom. She makes about 2K a month now, right? Like so like, yo, she's 20 years old, right? 21 years old. Make that 2K a month now. I remember when I first started, I was like, that's so much money. This is expensive, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because she was working part time at uni as well, like just working in retail, and working in some pub, whatever, and just use that money to do it. She asked me for a penny, because she had that first £1,000.
Yeah.
And she's legit making it was legit in profit.
Come on.
Legit in profit from it, right? So your first £1,000, she just did some training, went and bought the bed thing, whatever it was, that lay down, cleared out her bedroom. That's free.
You know what I love about that? It's just like it's such a practical thing to do. There's like something that she knows obviously the value of.
Yeah.
Like if she's just getting her lashes done, she knows what like there's a market for it.
And 2K a month while still at uni. It's like if you were on this full
Capital
time,
to build, capital to
if
do
you were on
stuff.
this full time,
The
right?
numbers are mad.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Right, I'll get one final one and then we'll wrap this segment up. So, do you guys want to do how to choose your branding or how to prospect clients?
Let's do clients.
Yeah, policeman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Schmanden. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, so in how to prospect clients, there's different topics we can cover. We can go why securing clients is really about building relationships in some fields. Maybe one of us wants to do that. Why having a client relationship sometimes can be a death sentence. And then obviously the other bit of prospecting clients is, content and the power of content. What do you guys want to pick up?
I'll take the death sentence. Huh?
I'll do the power of content.
What was that was the
Otherwise,
first
there's
one?
like securing your clients is all about building relationships.
Yeah. Go on.
So yeah, content for me. Look, so prospecting clients, you can try the whole. I'm gonna call 500 people, 1,000 people, and that is a way to still get clients in 2023. You can definitely cold call. You can definitely email strangers every day, but you are up against a lot of precious time because you haven't qualified where the person's from, the audience, whether they're the right person. And even if you do, you are interrupting them in a time where we've got so many notifications coming in. So the pitch for me when it comes to prospecting clients with content, you've got a chance to tell stories. If you can tell stories about the transformation people are receiving from using your product or using your service, I'm a big fan that is like something that I've seen happen for my businesses and also people around me where take Amma, for example, Plant Made, redundant in the pandemic, has a product. She says, you know what, I could go and call loads of people to try this hair thing I've made and try get mom and aunt, everyone tell the people in the community. Or I can actually show videos and photos of what happened before and after using my product. That's the promo. Like literally, that's the promo. And yeah, 600K in 6 months, millionaire in a year, and building from there. And there's so many other people that I've seen like that who have taken that content first approach. But when taking a content first approach, again, it's not just making a flyer describing the services. No, tell us a story.
Yeah.
Show us before and after. Show us the vibration of someone using something. Maybe show the ease of use, so tutorial videos. Like, can you match it to SEO search? These are things that it's not going to cost you a lot of exercise outside. The main thing's going to cost you is actually time to sit down and go, right, what is it that we can tell? And also you can do stuff for free, like Facebook ad library, where you can check your competitors' adverts and see what is working.
Yep.
You can literally go on SEO Rush and go on different things and run searches on things similar to your industry. Just taking that time to do research is the biggest game changer. So yeah, that's my pitch on getting prospective clients with content.
You know, I'll add to that too. I think the sick thing with content too is it's gonna help you kind of refine your own view on your business and your product, right? Like the more you know how to write about it and tell a story about it, the more you're gonna be convincing and you're gonna be like polished.
Yeah, and the more you put out, right? Because then you put 20 things out, and just one random thing works. You're like, oh, it's that they love. You're like,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
and you just keep speaking that language.
Yeah.
Right?
And then I think what the thing I would say about the relationship thing, I also just think I feel like you've touched on that with content too, right? Again, it is about storytelling, and if you just think about like just the big brands that we kind of use, the products we use, right? It is a relationship. So Apple, for example, if you're an Apple user, you're gonna be an Apple user for a long time, and you have do you get what I mean? I'm like, we always have to have some type of relationship, or any good product, any good business kind of evokes some degree of emotion, right? Whatever degree that might be, and I feel like that's why any kind of client business relationship is really fundamentally a relationship. That's what it's about, like evoking some feeling, emotion, whatever it might be. Some people might feel like, oh, you know, I want to support this brand because I like these guys, or I like their product, or I like the way they do things, I like what they stand for, I like where they came, whatever it might be. But you know, in that story, you've built a relationship there. So yeah, I feel like that is the case.
Yeah, and I think the same applies for like if it's individuals working together, if it's you and a small company, and or even a large company. Right? I work with some really large companies in different capacities. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, how does that come about?" Or like how did it get set up? And I was like, I don't think we had to have an agreement. I was like, it's off of trust, right? It's just off of that relationship so strong. They just like me, I like them, and then we just get going, and then we sort things out a bit later, right? And then I'll connect that to like the death sentence piece of clients as well. I think like myself and a few of my companies, we've experienced some stuff where work with large companies has its pros in that they're a good logo to have on a website or sticker somewhere, whatever it is, right? On a document, a name. But at the same time, I think large companies, there's a lot of politics that goes on. And when you build that extra strong relationship, you want to be careful you don't get taken advantage of as well, right? I think there's been some instances where there's been no lines, and it's just been like, I was talking to this large company, and we're discussing some like issue we're having, and someone was like, "You don't even care about this thing internally over here," and I was like, "I don't work there." I just said it in response. I was like, "I don't work there," and they were like, "What do you mean you don't work here?" And I was like, "Are you people lost your minds?" I was like, everyone in this school has an email address that ends with X. I do not. Right? Mine's like a personal email address. I was like, "Listen, please," right? Like, I don't work there, and like, so you got to get me caught up in politics and having me now having to respond in some capacity to your politics and go out of my way to be helpful in a way maybe sometimes we shouldn't. And it just gets us caught up, and that's a bit of a death sentence to not just like the work sometimes, but even those relationships which are so great, right? And they're so promising, and they've been super fruitful for everybody historically. And in the end, it just ends up as sometimes, hopefully very rarely, but sometimes I've experienced, and people close to me have experienced, I think those relationships end up really sour and just like a death sentence because large clients, large companies have politics, and they have 10 reasons they're doing something, an agenda sometimes. Like last example is, I remember some company I was helping them or something, and they they got on a call once and they were like, "Oh, question, why are you doing this?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, well, I was working with you, and then like I just thought you asked me to do some other, you asked me to be helpful, so I was just helping out anyway, all bit behind the scenes and stuff. And they were like, "Yeah, but what's the agenda? What's your agenda?" And I was like, "My agenda," and I didn't know what they were talking about. I genuinely was like, "What are you talking about? My agenda?" I was like, "What agenda?" I was like, "You asked for something, you asked for help." I just said, "Yeah, like, whatever." And I remember a few weeks after that, we come to call and someone was like, "So we've been talking internally and we can't work out what your agenda is." And I was like, well, I was like, I legit have an agenda. I was like, why do you people have an agenda? They were like, everyone's got an agenda. I was like, no, we don't. Yo, we don't. But so sometimes, ultimate to wrap up, was work with clients, large clients especially, and small business sometimes. That strength of relationship can also be that death sentence as well, right? For everyone, right? Unfortunately, so take time.
Love that. Love that. Right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. That's another sidebar. Just quick tips for you guys, answering dilemmas, and helping you guys with practical things. I've been Beach.
Mickey.
Andy Davis, we're here.